You know, the SCP Foundation is famous for containing some of the most absolutely terrifying entities you could ever imagine. I mean, creatures that would make your standard movie monsters literally quake in their boots. But what happens when the threat isn't just one single contained anomaly, but an entire species, a species capable of completely infiltrating humanity? Well, welcome to today's explainer. We're opening up a highly classified dossier on SCP-939. This is a nightmare-inducing species that's been running a secret campaign of terror for decades. It's the kind of creature that slowly unpicks the very foundation of the people trying to contain it. So, grab a seat, because this is going to be a wild ride.
Okay, let's dive right into this threat assessment. Here is our agenda for today. First, we'll meet SCP-939. Then, we're going to look at the bizarre biology of a hellhound, explore their hunting tactics, hunting with many voices, uncover their genuinely horrifying life cycle, and finally, discuss exactly why they are humanity's apex predator.
All right, Section 1. Meet SCP-939, the Nightmare Unveiled.
So, on a fundamental level, SCP-939 are endothermic, pack-based predators. They've got this skin that's highly permeable to moisture, which basically renders them as these translucent, red entities powered entirely by hemoglobin. And to ground this horror in the pseudoscience of the SCP records, we really need to understand how they're classified. SCP-939 display an atrophy of various biological systems, much like what you'd see in troglodytic organisms. Now, what does that mean? It means they are evolutionary masters of the dark. They're incredibly resilient, perfectly adapted to thriving in pitch-black environments without dying off, basically shedding all the traits that a normal, surface-dwelling creature would actually need to survive.
I love how the source material puts it. It says they are, quote, ugly as all hell, physically speaking, highly mobile sacks of blood. Gross, but also 10 points for creativity, unquote. It's funny, but it really hits the nail on the head regarding the absurd, visceral horror of this thing. I mean, imagine a creature completely stripped of normal skin or fur, leaving nothing but a wet, translucent, hemoglobin-powered nightmare just staring right back at you from the dark.
Moving right along to Section 2, Biology of a Hellhound, Anatomical Impossibilities.
Okay, so if their appearance is upsetting, their internal anatomy, or actually, scratch that, their total lack of internal anatomy, is just biologically impossible. The truly fascinating part is what's completely missing here. Despite being made up mostly of a blood-like substance, SCP-939 possesses almost zero vital organ systems. I'm serious. They have no central nervous system, no peripheral nervous system, they completely lack a circulatory system, and perhaps most baffling of all for a predator, they have absolutely no digestive tract. None. Yet miraculously, this species functions, moves, and hunts without any of the biological machinery that's required for life as we know it.
This right here brilliantly illustrates just how messed up their biology is compared to a normal animal. Think about it. A normal pack predator hunts so it can digest prey and, survive. But SCP-939, they have no apparent physiological need to feed. Because they lack a digestive tract, they literally have no way to process their prey. So what do? They hunt relentlessly, only to wastefully vomit up the carcasses of their victims because they simply don't have the room in their bodies for the food. It's wild. It poses this really dark question. What kind of evolutionary path creates a creature whose only directive is just violence, with absolutely no necessity for survival?
Let's get into Section 3, Hunting with Many Voices, the Lure.
Since they don't actually need sustenance, their hunting is purely predatory, and they have developed an incredibly sinister method for trapping their victims. See, SCP-939 earned the nickname with many voices for a very, very good reason. They can flawlessly mimic the human voice. They literally use the horrifying, agonizing screams of their past human victims to lure new prey directly into the dark. If you happen to have seen the 2018 movie Annihilation, you know that terrifying mutant bear creature? Yeah, that is a shockingly accurate visual and behavioral depiction of exactly how SCP-939 operates. They completely weaponize human empathy and panic just to draw you right into their jaws.
But the mimicry isn't even their only anomalous trick. Get this. SCP-939 also secretes an aerosol amnestic substance directly from its jaws. This is a gaseous chemical that instantly causes severe memory loss in any victim exposed to it. So, they aren't just physically dangerous, they are actively erasing your mind while they attack you.
And that brings us to this incredibly chilling reality.
Anyone lucky enough to survive an assault from a pack of SCP-939 wouldn't even remember it happening. Just picture a small, remote village attacked in the dead of night. If anyone actually managed to escape, they'd wander away with zero memory of the bloodbath, the carnage, or how their entire community was just wiped out. This predator literally leaves no physical witnesses. How terrifying is that?
Which leads us to Section 4, a horrifying life cycle, blood-based rabbits. Okay, prepare yourselves for this because the way these organless creatures breed is undoubtedly the most shocking aspect of their entire existence. Despite lacking all those vital organs we talked about, SCP-939 are entirely capable of bearing live young, and they do it with staggering efficiency. The source material captures the exasperation so perfectly here, calling them, quote, a horrifying warren of blood-based rabbits. What the hell, guys? What the hell? Unquote. I mean, you really do have to ask what kind of twisted evolution allows a translucent sack of blood without a circulatory system to successfully reproduce at such an alarming rate.
Let's walk through this deeply traumatic reproductive cycle step by step, shall we? Step 1. The young they give birth to are practically indistinguishable from regular human babies. Step 2. During infancy, this offspring exhibits perfectly normal human infant behavior and characteristics. Everything seems fine, right? Well, then comes Step 3. After a certain amount of time, the child violently tears off its own flesh. It literally rips off its own head. And finally, Step 4. Out from the remains emerges a near-identical, albeit much smaller, SCP-939 creature. It's just a viscerally horrifying Trojan horse strategy for reproduction.
And finally, Section 5, humanity's apex predator, the existential threat.
When we take all of these terrifying facts and apply them to the broader historical context of human civilization, well, the implications are absolutely staggering. Foundation records heavily reference that large multitudes of SCP-939 dens have been discovered on pretty much every single continent on Earth. They're widely accepted to have been lurking on our planet for thousands upon thousands of years. Just imagine a primitive human society out in the wilderness. They find what they think is a defenseless, lost human baby. They take it back to their village to raise it, to give it shelter, and within months, that child violently sheds its skin and begins a blood-soaked nightmare right in the center of their home.
Which raises the ultimate question, doesn't it? How do you even begin to combat a creature like that? Sure, modern humans have the technological advantages of the SCP Foundation, but ancient humanity? They would have been completely helpless. No armor, no modern weapons, and they'd be dealing with a pack of predators that not only mimic the voices of their loved ones to draw them out, but literally erase their memory of the attack while it's happening.
SCP-939 completely outclasses any fictional monster from history. Seriously, forget the big bad wolf, forget Grendel, forget dragons. SCP-939 transcends those myths. This is an apex predator that uses fear itself as its primary weapon. It sows seeds of terror deep into the roots of early society. In fact, if the SCP Foundation didn't exist to intervene, it's highly likely that SCP-939 could have easily prevented humanity from ever escaping the Dark Ages. They're almost too good at being a horrifying anomaly. So, we're going to end our explainer today with one final provocative thought. Thank your lucky stars that we have the plot armor of reality here and that these entities are strictly fictional. But if SCP-939 was real, what hypothetical weapon or strategy would you even use to survive an apex predator like this? It's definitely something to think about the next time you hear a strange voice calling out to you from the dark. Thanks for exploring this terrifying dossier with me. Until next time, keep learning and stay safe out there.